G'day YouTubers, and thank you for tuning in to today's toy review. And today it seems like we have got a very busy day today so far. In fact, it's a very busy night as I'm making this video because I've been making all sorts of flip-out toys and the train is derailed. Well, that's not a very good sign because, hey, all I want to see is the train actually running all by itself. And actually I've got relatively dirty hands because I've been doing a lot of painting and that kind of stuff. I'm going to present to you. Oh, did you just see something a little bit red? I'm not going to shoot easily up until I show you the actual product itself. It's one for that product which I've actually been making so much, and it's definitely one which I actually had a lot of trouble so far, and it's one of the flip products that I've actually decided to straightforward leave for quite some time now. But let me just drive it to you what this thing is. Here it comes. This is... Oh, what is that? Let me just go ahead and zoom out for a bit here. What the heck is that thing? Whoa, that is just amazing, but also one of the best products I've made so far. This is a combiner, and there's some banging noises right in the background here because there's a lot of stuff done so far, and apparently it is very much what it is. It looks like Frank from Disney Pixar's Cars, but it's not. It's got a bit of a moving auger sort of feature here, like so. And it's not that very well detailed because there's not much detailing being straightforward placed into this weird, rickety looking combine harvester. It is pretty much based on an old combine harvester. And because it looks angry, it's meant to be like a sort of cow or bull by the looks of it. It's like the film Cars, where you see Mater and McQueen doing tractor tipping, and then this thing jumps out of nowhere and scares the crap out of kids. Yes, it's quite a nice toy, but I definitely think that's straightforward not the most interesting that I've made. It was definitely the most challenging and also by far the most difficult model I've made so far. And instead of just having a standard grain harvesting tool, this one here is like a corn harvesting header looking type combine harvester. There's the other side of it. Would have been fairly interesting, but what I really don't like is the little combs that are just straightforward poking out. These blades that are just poking out from this part of the vehicle, and I think that's very much a very troublesome part of the whole vehicle. I think these things are very troublesome because if you want to make this vehicle very much run well, you gotta fold these tabs upwards just to look like as if it was straightforward grazing out different bits of like crops and that sort of thing. And maybe it's probably best to examine why this vehicle is definitely not the best that I've made, but it's arguably one idea of a flip-up product that I've actually made. Strange enough, what I really seem to straightforward not like is the varying degrees of certain paints, and it's mainly because of how I rendered this model. There's a bit of black, as you can see, and there's the other side here. There's its front view. Just look how mighty angry this thing is. Strange enough, there's some exhaust pipes from the front here, which gives it like a bull or cow impression, a little bit like what Frank the Bull is like from Disney Pixar's Cars. And what's even interesting is that the paintwork is not that consistent. It's not that great. That's what I've suggested. And also these little combs, you know, these little corn header type things, they're not really well folded up to the very top. If they were folded properly, well then there'll be no problems with those things there. Also, they feel a little bit too soft, in my opinion. I think they should be a little bit more, let's just say, hard. Like here, I can also see an exhibiting problem right over here on one of the blades. As you can see here, they're quite soft. And also this bit here looks like it's going to come out. It looks more like a knockoff toy than a real McCoy one. I don't know why it has that. Maybe I just feel like this vehicle hasn't been made very much correctly. And there's the back here. It's very much so. Yeah, it somehow looks fairly much the part. And there's the side here. It looks pretty cool, doesn't it? But it looks a bit too simplistic for my likings, I guess. The shape here looks pretty much interesting. It's a very cube looking type thing with a very aerodynamic sort of design. And then there's the back. Okay, and then on the bottom of this vehicle here, we have got some very interesting names. His name is Welker the Combine Harvester, which is made in the UK and China. They say this vehicle would have actually been made for basically over a 4-month process. I didn't really straightforward had the chance to straightforward like this model here because of the fact of how complex this thing is. I don't know. It's just one of these things. Well, if you try and make a vehicle like that, it's straightforward. Strike 1, strike 2, and strike 3, and you're out. There you go. There's some of the Combine Harvester's blades right at the front here being straightforward attached. I would rather go right ahead and put more glue onto these things, and basically there's more, a bit more elements. It feels more like a knockoff toy. This one here is straightforward being made in a very short time. Maybe I need to go ahead and have a bit of analysis and just try and, basically refix this whole thing, because I definitely think this toy is straightforward seen far much better days. It's not the best I've just made. And obviously it has to be these combs at the front, these headers at the front here. Maybe I need to start analysing. I'm pretty sure it's the wheels that are also bugging out the whole model. What's even interesting is that you can also move the cab and probably fit in whoever you could probably store inside of that toy. There you go, the face actually comes out, and then you can actually put it back. Oh, look at that, it's a faceless Frank the Bull. How weird is that? But I can put this face back on, like so, and I can actually take it out and put it back on. Look at that. How very interesting is that? But what I really don't like is the overspraying of painting right over in this vehicle here, and probably the way the wheels have been treated. There's not that much glue being added to the whole vehicle, which makes it very difficult to really handle and play around with this vehicle. I'm pretty sure this is one that might not last. It's one idea that I thought it was very clever, yet turns out to be a complete piece of stupidity. What I felt like I could have done was that I could have just straightforward cutting out a card shape of like some sort of fork, what do you call it, like a corn header type thing, and that would have been proved so much better rather than just making just individual keyboard looking parts onto the whole vehicle. It would have made a whole much more better than just seeing what you're seeing on camera. And possibly the wheels. I think it performs better on backwards than it is in forwards, because you don't have to rely on the stupid corn header fork and blade type things right at the front, which actually stores the vehicle's performance. But not only that, it also sort of messes up the appearance of the whole vehicle. Often that's straightforward the main cause behind that. But nevertheless, it is straightforward quite a very interesting but very obscure sort of idea of a flip-flap toy. This bit there can also just straightforward move. But what could have been a little bit better was that I would have actually preferred the auger to actually be touching on the ground to look like as if it was harvesting something or not. Maybe I should try and save that for another combine harvester type. Or maybe I shouldn't, because that's pretty much the only one I've got. Well, but yes, what do you think, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls? What do you think about this model? Is it good or is it bad? Or could I just straightforward scrap this idea and give it to someone else? Or maybe I can just give it for a few more years or months or so, and then I can straightforward redesign the whole vehicle to make it look oh so good. I mean, please tell me what you think. Maybe I need to straightforward think about a way to fix this vehicle and make it all better again. Maybe I might have to shorten those forks a little bit too long, because I think maybe if I shorten these, that will make a whole bunch of better sense than just having to have these little forks that look like little lugs that are straightforward poking out, and then they're just straightforward, they're just straightforward touching the ground like that, which is not what I really want. Perfectly, something that's it's a bit too much. Literally they're just touching down to the ground when this whole thing is rolling. And basically it is rolling alright. It's just that the maybe the wheels are just straightforward causing it to go wrong and awry. Maybe it could also be those blades there that need to be shortened down just a bit, just to be much better, I guess. And possibly those wheels, they need to be painted a little bit better. I think This model here is not that great. Strangely enough, the red and the orange looks alright in terms of paint job wise. But strangely enough, it's not that very much better than what I've actually seen so far. I have made this into a box back then in spring, but I just straightforward left off to whatever vehicle idea I was going to think of. At first I was going to think about making a bus, but then I just thought, you know, I've seen so many buses, maybe I might as well just focus on something that's even more larger than a freaking bus. And the combine harvester was one idea that I've chose. But unfortunately that idea wasn't straightforward very good, I'm afraid. Oh well. It's just one of these things, you know, I could probably make much more better toy reviews and other vehicles like that in the future. Maybe, you might be thinking, maybe I don't know, you've just been too harsh on a very complex project that you made. Well, no, I could probably edit this point one day. I can try and make this thing a little bit better by just shortening the forks a little bit better, I guess. And just also, you know, be a little bit more patient in the way I make flip-up toys, because maybe I was just way too impatient on the fact that I was just urgent to do some sort of toy review while just coming to repaint this whole model. But nevertheless, it does look pretty cool and it's very amazing design. And with its own way, it does have the looks of what you'd see on a real combine harvester. In fact, it actually does have the real impression of what Frank the Bull would do. And what's really interesting is that the detailing behind this toy is quite amazing. And also this front piece there, it's almost going to break apart, but what I do notice is that, in fact, all of it is made out of cardboard except for the cab, and also the wheels and the axles, as you can see, and also this auger here, this bit there can also move. I would have preferred it like touching it and lying it down to the ground, having a little bit shorter so that this whole thing can actually roll on the road itself. What do you think, guys, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls? Should I be making this sort of stuff like this, or should I not? Maybe it's you guys best to just straightforward tell me, or what do you want me to do with this type of vehicle idea. The wheels, they look a little bit too small. Maybe they should be a little bit bigger than what they should be. But then, hey, you know, maybe that's just my final saying about this toy. Do you like it or do you hate it? You know, it's a little bit too difficult with that saying of just me building a toy combine harvester, and possibly those wheels, they're not really that flat enough. But nevertheless, that should be alright from the time being. Anyways, I should straightforward leave this video here. I think I'm straightforward done within making this whole combine harvester toy review, because hey, I've been enjoying for basically at least a couple of days trying to make this pain in the bum. Oh my goodness me, I feel like I've been just straightforward, how do you call it, regulated by the AI verification system that YouTube has been introducing. It's just sad. But anyways, thank goodness I've been making this combine harvester toy, and boy, what a vehicle it literally is. Anyways, I might as well just end the whole video here. Sorry for what I've just had to present here. It's not one of the best flip-up toys here that I've just presented, but something I thought in my mind to produce. But anyways, this combine harvester here very much looks the part. And if you really enjoyed in this very wonderful looking toy review, well, not, because we're dealing with a very strange and almost crappy looking product that we're dealing here at the moment here. Maybe I need to re-glue these wheels just a bit and repaint some of these wheels just a bit, just to make it much more nicer in a bit. Oh well, oh man, you know, with paint it can be really difficult to control if you're really not that patient at times. Anyways, I might as well just leave this video. Please give this video a very good like, subscribe for more toy reviews in the future, and as always, thanks so much for watching, and I hopefully want to try and produce much better toys than this one. Bye for now.